Hello YouTube, this is my Wpl C44 Km. I've been working on this over the past couple months, trying to do as much detail and making it personal as possible, and that's what I love about the C44 and the C34. You can personalize these as much as you want and they still come out exactly the way the user wanted them to come out. Now, there are a few issues with it. First off, I want to talk about the WPL store. You can see that box is in perfect condition. The WPL store shipped me both of these, and they both came in perfect condition. Now, on to the issues that I had. The main issues I had with this kit would be the doors primarily. The fitting of the doors, they were warped and everything, and you can still see that they would pop open and everything. So I ended up gluing them. You can see glue there and glue down at the bottom edge here. But all in all, it was a great kit to build and I had a lot of fun. Now for the paint, I used Vallejo German Field Gray. And I absolutely love the color. I love the paint and how it's sprayed. It came out perfectly. It was a matte finish, but it was just amazing. Like every detail showed through and it just looked beautiful. However, then I went and sprayed it with Vallejo acrylic gloss varnish. Now, thinking you would use the varnish that went with the paint would be a good idea, or the same brand. But in this case, no, it wasn't. That Vallejo acrylic gloss varnish took about 4 days to dry and left fingerprints, and I'm not really a fan of how it turned out. Sanding the vehicle after and reapplying did not work out well either. So the truck is what it is, and it's good enough for me. I would have liked it more perfect, but this is the way it is. That's it. um, Now, on the internet, I heard a lot of guys complaining about the soft plastics and getting paint to stick to them. And I agree. The soft plastic, hot glue could barely stick to it. So, what I ended up doing was watching videos on actually bumpers, painting car bumpers. And they recommended this Duplicolor adhesion promoter. So that's what I used. And it worked out perfectly. I sprayed the Duplicolor adhesion promoter and then immediately, 10 minutes after, I covered it with the Mr. Surfacer 1200 primer, and I had zero issues painting. Everything looks great. I'm not worried about chipping or anything. It looks good. So I highly recommend using the Duplicolor on those soft plastics along with the Mr. Surfacer primer. Now, I imagine any primer would work, but I really, really like the way that Mr. Surfacer primer sprayed on. Although it's expensive, it worked really well for me. It was worth it. So, all in all, I recommend the Mr. Surface primer. Vallejo paint, it was just beautiful. The gloss, no, just don't bother. I don't know what I'm going to use on my C34, but I definitely will not be using that. I will use the Duplicolor again on the interior on the C34. I did use on the tires foam. Now, I did not like the way the tires were too soft, squishing around the metal wheel weights. Didn't roll nice, so I knew I had to put foam. I initially started with pool foam, but that was way too hard. So what I did was I got a roll of weather stripping. It's 1/2 inch by 1 inch, and then I just cut down the width to 3/4 of an inch and installed that. I'm very happy with the tires. They still squish, they still climb things nice, and overall I'm happy. So that's what I used for the foam. Of course, I'm a bit of a woodworker. I love woodworking, so I had to change the bed on this. So I used leftover walnut, which I love the way it turned out. And of course, being a little bit of a woodworker, I love doing wood. The WPL boxes, they were actually made from cardstock, but what I did was I tore open a box to use as a template. So once I had the template, I was able to cut them down in scale and then make the cardboard boxes. Obviously, I bought some accessories, the toolbox, the shovel, the axe, and painted them up to match. And then I just made bungee cord with paper clips and young women's hair ribbon or hair elastics. The axles on mine, I didn't have any issue with. They shipped the axles with paper gaskets. So I installed the paper gasket on the drive shaft side of the differential, and I had no issues. They were really, really smooth, and they just came out perfect with that paper gasket in there. Now, unfortunately, with my C34, I noticed there wasn't any paper gaskets. However, I think they would be easy to make a paper gasket or make it out of tape or whatever, or even something like this that, it's a hard. So I have extra, so I'm going to use the extras I have, but if you don't end up getting any with your kit, just find something like that and make your own gasket, and your axles will run smooth. Now, for the hoods, if you watch a lot of the YouTube videos, you'll notice that the hoods catch. You can see mine's not catching, and that's because I sanded down this line until it didn't catch. Then I painted the vehicle, and then I installed the dash before I attempted to open this, because the dash actually holds down the hinges that the hood moves on. So in combination of sanding that and installing the dash to hold down the hinges, you shouldn't have any grabbing or anything or chipping of paint from trying to open and close. This is the 34, and I already started to sand down the gap so it doesn't catch. This one, I'll try to open it, but you can hear it's still catching a little bit. So I guarantee you that would chip paint. So it needs to be sanded a little bit more, painted, then the dash installed before I try it again. Otherwise, without the dash holding down the hinges, it will chip the paint. Even if you got this fully sanded, unless you sand out way too much. But, it takes a little bit of sanding, a little bit of effort. And I took 320. Now, with my door issue and fitment and having to glue after, I decided on the 34 that I wouldn't take a chance, and I glued everything right off the hop. So now I have a perfect fit and finish all the way around, all glued in. You can't use the doors, but like for me, I don't know. I don't see me ever needing to open and close doors. I mean, I want it to look pretty more than functionality. I want to be able to run the truck, have everybody look at it and go, yeah, that's nice. So depending on what you want to do, if you decide to glue the doors, definitely glue them before painting. After, you're just asking for the issues that I had. Next, I used the Res V3 for this, and I primarily used it because of the light ability. The ability to add tail lights and signal lights to this truck. So, but I didn't have these connectors, so I ordered a bunch of servo connectors in order to put them together, because they're way too close. Initially, I ordered these motor connectors, but they won't fit a bunch in a row, so I had to scrap that idea. For my C44, I actually soldered the wires to the pin and put connectors under the body. I don't like that because there's a bunch of wire now underneath, so I'm going to redo this. I'm going to unsolder all these wires and put these connectors on it. So if you want to do something like that, I would highly suggest ordering those connectors first. I painted the whole engine bay and made that plastic engine bay look all pretty and everything. And then when it came to install all the electronics, I went, no, I don't like this because the board needs to be flipped upside down to fit, along with all these wires and lighting wires. It just wasn't a good fit. And I thought if I ever need to get at that board, I would have to pretty much disassemble the whole truck just to get at it. So I said, you know what? I'm cutting the engine bay and I'm going to make it all accessible. So if I have to do anything with it, it's all right there. And it's under the hood, so I'm not overly concerned. Other than that, I'm not sure what else to go over. If you see something in here you're interested or want to know, just leave a comment down below and I'll answer all the comments. Other than that, thank you for watching. And maybe when I get further along with the C34, I may do another video if people are interested or if there's interest in these. But I love the truck. I love all the videos of what everybody's different ideas and what they've done to them. And honestly, it's a great kit. I wouldn't say it's a crawler or anything, but it's definitely a modeler's truck. In order to customize something this well and make them all unique to you, I think it's a beautiful waste of time, really. Like, just go out, get one, enjoy it, and make it your own. Other than that, thanks again for watching, and see you soon.